You know, I've had quite the day, Kevin.
Did you get molested?
No.
Well, then you've had it better than some.
Way to put the silver lining on my day, Kevin. Thank you. You are correct. There are people who have had worse days than me. Hello, America. It's time to check the nonsense at the door, clear the cobwebs between your ears, and have a rational-ish conversation. This is the lost art of common sense. That's right, America. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is the lost art of common sense. And in this episode, we're talking about somewhat of a heavier topic. I was going to do a movie review of Sound of Freedom, but Kevin's too lazy to go watch it. So instead, we're just going to talk about modern day slavery and human trafficking because, based on the movie and other things I've heard from, it's quite the problem nowadays. Uh, Kevin, when were you made aware of modern day slavery?
I
Like when
think,
we were growing up, we thought slavery was done,
yeah, I
but
don't think
apparently
it.
it's not.
I don't think I actually was made aware of it until, let's see, probably it was recently. So, like within the past 4 years, I think 4 or 5 years.
That's kind of that's kind of where I'm at. Well, because of the Uyghurs.
Yeah.
That's basically all. I mean, they're in internment camps, so I guarantee you they're not collecting a paycheck.
No, I doubt it. I'm guessing they work or die type of thing. You know. So yeah, I think it was between that and when they started really talking about it was probably around, actually it might have been around 2016 when they were talking about the when Trump was talking about closing the borders, and so 2015, 2014, so maybe almost 10 years ago, I guess, because sex trafficking and stuff like that, and that is obviously a form of slavery, uh you know sex slaves and stuff like that. So it is definitely a form of slavery. So probably around then, but I don't think I really got into it. Like got actually knew about slavery, like modern day slavery, until 4 or 5 years ago. Probably within 5 years that you actually
Yeah.
understood it, how bad it is.
Well, and yeah, I'd say I'm about the same. I mean, like when I first heard about it, like it was stuff like Uyghurs, and they've always said, there's still slaves today in other countries. Didn't really hear much about other than that. There, people say no, there's still slaves today. There's been, I think, ever since man, I think there's probably been some form of it. Um, and kind of going off of what you're saying, if we look through back even in our uh, darker days in the United States when we had slavery, it was more labor based. Same thing with like the Egyptians and stuff like that when they enslaved the Jews and pretty much any of it. Well, but like today, what forms do you think that's taking as far as like are we talking like people working in fields? I know you brought up sex trafficking. Is it like indentured servitude where that's basically slavery until you've reached your mark? I mean, what type of forms do you think we're talking about?
Well, I think it's all forms. I think what is it, like 40 million slaves at this point in the world. I think over half are sex trade, slavery. Um, so I think that is by far the main one. Um, so I think that's the main one. Then I think the rest of them are, it's every other kind. I mean, there's going to be indentured servitude. There's going to be like the Uyghurs who are just in internment camps and doing work for the Chinese government. Um, I mean, it's all forms of slavery. Every form of slavery there was, there still is.
Going on
Um,
today?
yes, just because we don't have it in this country. I mean, I'm sure there is, but just not at the amount there was, and not just one culture. You hear about people like women getting kidnapped all the time and never found again. I mean, it's still happening here. I'm sure, but it's just not at the amount it was back in the 1700s. Um,
Or is open. I mean,
or
back
is
then it was
open, or
societal.
yeah. So it's happening other places in the world. It's happening in Africa still. It's happening in the Middle East. It's happening in China. I mean, it's happening everywhere. All bad things happen, anyways. I mean, so any place that's not a first world country basically has this problem.
Um, Now you didn't see The Sound of Freedom.
I did not.
Um, I'm pretty sure. Now I've only seen it once, and like when you watch a movie like that, I feel like you need to watch it 2 or 3 times to really pick up. Same thing, even with the movie we did last week, even though it's pure fiction. But like, there's stuff you're going to pick up in a movie like Nefarious, where the cultural references and stuff like that, and how much depth the movie has takes more. And I think Sound of Freedom is one of those movies. But I'm pretty sure the U.S. is the largest proponent, or if that's the right word, but they're the largest consumer of at least the underage sex slave trade.
Oh, I'm sure. Because
So it is for I would almost argue that first world countries are the ones that are fueling the demand.
well, they're the ones paying for the product.
Yeah, I mean it's I think they say within the next 5 years, maybe
I'd say
longer, maybe
more
shorter.
indentured servitude. The
I'm almost wondering if that has to do with like how all these illegals are paying the cartel because it's like 5,000 some odd dollars. Like,
it, yeah,
how are
no,
they getting this money?
they have to be doing something. Sometimes they sell. See, a lot of times a child will come to the border by itself, and I'm thinking the parents obviously are you know giving themselves away to the cartel as the payment or whatever. They work off the payment. So yes, it's indentured servitude. It's I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, because yeah, I guess apparently we're the largest consumers. Apparently, I don't know if it's human trafficking in general. I think it is. I think it's human trafficking as a whole is second only to the drug trade, and it's supposed to surpass that within like less than 10 years. Like it's the largest growing criminal enterprise there is, um, which may actually go into. No, that's fine. I did not skip to another question, Kevin. Um, so where do you think the people being trafficked are coming from? Like demographically, do you think it's anywhere and everywhere?
I think it's everywhere. It is everywhere. Like I said, it's happening here. People are getting kidnapped. They get you know, um, but I think most of it is people. Sorry, everybody. I got some stuff going on. I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so um,
A sinful vacation.
now it's just I'm going to Minnesota for fishing. There is nothing sinful about that.
Everything in Minnesota is simple.
That's true. Okay.
Not quite as bad as Cleveland, but
No, they're coming from everywhere, but I think you're mostly it's going to be your poorer countries, your countries where people are they're less likely to be missed, I guess. Easier pickings. Um, it's just the way it is. Poorer countries are going to have higher percentage of people taken and sold into slavery.
did you think? And I'm adding this is out of left field, Kevin.
I prepared all my answers by the way you
Looks like I'm
wrote
throwing
them,
you
so
off. I don't prepare any answers. I barely skim your stupid questions and then I answer them on the fly.
I didn't
Makes it more
even
real.
I didn't look at your questions at all. I mean,
It's just
I saw the first one.
horrible, horrible. Even
I
though you're
saw
doing
the.
the exact same thing I just said I did, it makes you a horrible person. No, okay. So back in Obama years, okay, when he said the border is closed, but we won't turn your kids away, that never sat right with me.
No, and I don't think it sounds.
I'm not saying Obama's like this ringleader in sex trafficking, but it's weird, and this also goes into my next question. So I'll kind of meld all this together, and then you can just ramble on for a while. Um, but when he said that, it's like, okay, so people are sending their kids to the border unsupervised, or sometimes there was some rando that's not their family member, and then nobody knows who's coming, who made it, whatever. So you have that, and then we don't hear about any of this. Like the only way we heard about any of this is from secondary news sources, like whether it be, I mean, Fox kind of touches on it, but like this is a pretty big story, and you always have to go to some other thing like the Blaze or Daily Wire, or
Just some like
right wing conspiracy,
yeah, because
eating babies. Oh wait, that's Alex Jones.
yeah,
Apparently, that's the thing, though. That's the thing.
I'm
There are
sure it
baby
is.
mills where they solely have babies for their blood and body parts. But why do you think that? Like, okay, what are your thoughts on the Obama thing, and why do you think this isn't a bigger deal in the news?
I don't know. Somebody drowned at his nearest house.
It was his personal chef.
His personal chef drowned in 8 foot of water, and for some reason did not try to grab the paddleboard he was on. It
Well, I don't
literally
want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but why would somebody who admittedly can't swim
be on a
go out
paddleboard.
on a paddleboard without a life preserver?
I don't know.
I'm
And
just saying.
how does somebody watch him go in and just be like, well, so
He'll
be
be
it.
fine.
He'll be fine. He
The
obviously.
paddleboard floats.
Why wouldn't he grab onto that or try jump up a little from the bottom?
Yeah, I don't know. That was the more that came out on that story. I was like,
And everybody's just supposed to be like, don't ask questions. So the person, I'm just saying that there's a lot of questions surrounding. I mean, he's like the new Clintons. There's a lot of questions about a lot of things he's done, and that is by far, well, not the children part. That's by far the most questionable because why would you have anybody send their child without any kind of parental figure to the country?
yeah, and
And
he said it like the way he said it, like that was an invitation.
yes, and so you think these parents know what happens to their child after you think the coyote or whoever's bringing them up gives a shit about this kid, and if somebody will pay him an extra $50,000 or $10,000 to take that kid into servitude or sexual fucking, you know, some kind of weird sex thing, you think he's going to fucking blink an eye to that? No. So what you're doing is you're actually harming more children by saying shit like that. And what we should be doing is, I don't know. I don't know what you should be doing. People should not be sending their children alone to a different nation.
Now you might be living in
I
a
don't
total
care.
shithole, but still,
You're still a parent.
it's like you're
And
rolling
I
the
understand
dice.
you want your kid to have a better life, but you better have somebody on the other side able to grab that kid, able to, you know, raise that child. You don't just send a child alone into a nation and have some stranger take them to them. You know,
Yeah, you're
you
really,
walk them up to
what
the
do you got, a
border.
tracking number on them? I mean, how do they know they made it?
You walk them up to the border. I mean, if you're going to do it, you walk them up to the border and you let them go through, get processed, and hopefully there's a relative on the other side to grab them. You know,
How
and
about we
to
not give people tips on how to legally enter the country, Kevin?
I'm just saying that's
Just don't send your kids. Don't be that parent.
don't ever just send your child without yeah. Yes, that's probably the best tip.
Well, okay, so why do you think they don't talk about it much? Like you hear the left always talking about, oh, we have to let these people in, blah blah
Oh,
blah.
why
But
don't we
like,
hear from why do we not hear from mainstream media?
yeah, and we hear like they do report every now and again. Like a lot of these women are raped along the way.
How
Like
do
it's
you
not.
no.
I feel bad for the people. Like, yeah, you took a shitty journey. You made that choice. Maybe you shouldn't have. But like, they're not doing anything to turn these people around, and horrible things happen on their journey. Why? Like,
Yes, and it's well, I mean, I don't understand why it's not being reported more often. Well, I mean, I know why because we have open borders right now. And for some reason, the Democrats feel, and I am saying Democrats because it is basically them. They are allowing this border to be wide open, and it is their fault, and I don't know what kind of weird shit they're into, but they're doing something to where, I mean, they're inviting people to get basically raped, murdered, put into slavery. I mean, I'm guessing it's probably 1 out of 20.
I don't know. It's pretty. I mean,
It's a pretty high amount. I'm not saying it's like 1 out of 5 or anything, but I mean, I bet you it's under 1 in 100.
yeah.
So no
I
matter
bet it.
what,
I bet the number's way higher than that.
I bet so too. But I mean, obviously, there's no real way to prove it because it's not like somebody who kidnaps somebody is like, all right, I'll tally this one. Boop. You know,
They're estimating anywhere from 2 million upwards new people are sold into sex slavery a year.
I guarantee there's probably hundreds of thousands from just the border crossings alone.
Oh, I bet it's. I mean, it's slim picking. I mean, it's easy pickings. It's like
Yeah. No one will
nobody
miss
knows
them.
who
No
they
one
are.
knows. Even if somebody does know who they came up here, they don't know if they made it or not.
Well, what are they going to
Or
do
what
about it?
happened. I mean, they can't do anything about it. They can't do anything from Argentina. You know, I'm sorry. What's the government going to say? I'm sorry, we have no record because one, they're trying to cross illegally. So obviously, we're not taking names as they go through the fucking Rio Grande. Um, you know,
Nope. No one's making over the giant floating donut string that Texas put up.
yeah, I heard. Why was that? Real quick, why was that kayak guy suing Texas government for that?
Probably because it restricted his movement on the river.
He had a kayak company or something.
I want to kayak on the other side of the donut wall.
Yeah. Kayak on Texas side.
I don't know. The guy's probably from Austin. He's a douchebag. Um,
He looked like a redneck though.
so still a douchebag. If you're suing the state because they put something up to slow the rate of illegal immigration to Texas,
If you have a kayak
you're a
company off the
douchebag.
Rio Grande, you've got to be affected by the border crossings, and yet you're still not. He's probably supplying kayaks to the fucking people crossing, and that's what he's mad about.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Speaking of the sex trafficking and all that stuff, and kind of going back to the Sound of Freedom, did you know that movie was actually filmed, edited, and finished over 5 years ago?
That film that just came. I mean, like
Sound of Freedom just came out.
the whole movie,
Was
like it
completed.
wasn't remade. Like it wasn't
Nope.
like it wasn't done, and they remade it.
Completely finished. Sitting on the shelf for 5 years.
So they just didn't.
Fox made it. Then they got bought out by Disney. Disney sat on it.
Why?
I have no idea. That's why I'm kind of led into that question, Kevin.
Oh,
Why do you think a corporation like Disney would sit on a movie like this, which has made over $100 million so far?
Yeah, it's done. It's made more profit, and they're how much? Would you tell me earlier? How much money have they lost off their last 8 or 9?
I think 900 million.
Off their last what? How many movies?
8.
So, so they've lost almost $1 billion. So this one was obviously a winner. I mean, it's not going to offset that, but I mean, it wasn't losing money.
Well,
why would they? I don't know. Why does every time there's a fucking child, pornography or somebody, whenever the police do a sting near fucking Disney or near in Florida or there's always like 5 Disney employees that
Imagineers,
get caught. Because Disney is a woke company, and woke companies for some reason hate kids.
It kind of seems that way because
It does. One, they want to make sure they can destroy their bodies with chemicals and pills, and they're also proponents of physically mutilating children. So anybody that's for that isn't a far stretch from being a pro child sex trafficking company. Maybe not for it, but definitely not against it.
Who is you think you'd be able to find out who is the actual company that bought it. I think it's called, it's like Angel or something like that, or I can't remember the studio.
I think it's the studio that does like a lot of Christian films, or maybe not Christian, but
Yeah, it's Angel Studios.
yeah. And what's weird about that is, if this was released by
Is it
Fox,
Angel or no? It's Angle.
yeah.
Angle
Can
Studios.
you see what other movies they made,
Maybe.
or at least put out there?
Let's see. You keep on talking, though, buddy.
So yeah, Disney is weirdly, I think, against children, and I don't understand the reason why. Um, it's just weird. Why? It's it's a movie that told a true story about someone saving. What it's about somebody saving a child, right?
It's about a guy. Well, yeah, it shows it's a true story based on, um,
It's based on a true story.
yeah, it's based on a true story. Now, what part of it's saving a lot of kids at a part of the movie where reminded everyone of Epstein's Island, but it kind of circles around. He saves this one boy, who's been abused, and he asked about his sister. So this guy made it his mission to save his sister, and he did actually end up saving her. That's the culmination of the story. But Sound of Freedom, the Wing Feather Saga.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. They make. Why does Angle Studios offer free streaming? Let's see. Let's see
Yeah,
what
I just don't.
else.
I don't.
Watch
And
inspiring and award-winning content. I don't know.
like, I don't understand why the mainstream media doesn't talk about this more often. It's obviously a problem. It's a huge problem.
I think there's
Um,
some negotiation going just to get Disney to release the rights because Fox owned the rights. Disney bought Fox, and then
yeah,
not Fox News, but like their movie part, and then they had
movie and
to,
television, right?
yeah, and they had to wrangle them up to or negotiate with them to get the release rights or the rights for this movie. I mean, I do know that Disney is. I mean, they had that one person that came out. She's like a program director or something like that, but she literally came out and admitted that she tries to inject as much gay culture into Disney programming as possible. So then there's that. Um, but I mean, The Sound of Freedom's different. It's like one of those movies. It's a hard watch. It's a good movie because it opens people's eyes, and it's a movie that I think everybody should see. But it's like the only thing I can think of is like, I mean, well, this gets into my next question because you know maybe the executives or something like that. But what kind of people do you think are fueling this trafficking? Like there's someone on the demand side. So there's a demand, so then there's a supply. So what kind of people do you think are fueling this shit? Other
Uh,
than Jared from Subway.
Soulless people. Obviously, I mean, it's hard to imagine that there's this many people to where there's a demand for this. You know, I generally want to think that people try to be morally good most of the time. Obviously, we all make mistakes, we all sin, but for the most part, I try to believe that most people are morally good. But if there's this much going on, even near us or around us, it's obviously untrue that there's actually a large, maybe not a large percentage, but a percentage, not an infinitesimal. Is that what that's what it is, right? It's not a very small amount of people. It's an actual percentage. I don't care if it's 1 or 2% of people in America. That's still a large amount of people that are doing this, and it's a sad thing to believe that there's this much demand to where in the world, I mean, 40 million slaves, half are sex slaves. Um, Somebody's paying for this, and it's not Joe Blow from down the street. It's wealthy people paying for this. It's people with a large income making money off of this, and that's who we need to be looking at. Is I'm sorry, but somebody's making money and hiding money, and that's the way you got to catch them.
Yeah, I think well that leads into the Epstein Island thing because that's what when that guy I think I might have brought this up in the show or it might have been before or after, but the actor from The Sound of Freedom when they did screenings there was a part where everybody in the audience was talking and he asked them all after the movie was over why were you guys talking during this part of the movie and they said that reminds us of Epstein's Island and you hear all these big people that went to Epstein's Island and you find out what's happened there were a lot of weird shit going on there. It's like the thing back in the day, according to the conspiracy theorists of Bohemian Grove, where all these ultra powerful rich people went to this weird thing and did a bunch of gay stuff. So it's basically like mutual blackmail amongst everyone. It's like, well, if you don't step in line, we're gonna say what you did in the bushes at the Bohemian Gathering. I just said, but I mean, I think that's where Epstein got all his money because like he had cameras all over his island, and I guarantee you, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, come over, go with this girl, blah blah," and then maybe these people the first time came unwittingly, and then there's like, "Oh, by the way, I got you on camera
Well,
fornicating
then
with an
if you're
underage
caught
kid."
once, you might as well keep going, right?
And it's like, and you need to keep coming back or whatever, but. But and I think at the beginning of the movie, the skeezy dude, because at the beginning of that movie, the guy's just a typical. I think he works for the FBI, maybe.
The
But like
guy,
what he did is he
the bad guy or
busted.
the good guy?
No, the good guy. He busted. His main job was busting people at basically child pornography and child predators. And the way some of it sounds, and with all the amount of pornography that's on the internet and stuff like that, some of the stuff pens from porn addiction, where someone gets addicted to porn, watches, I guess, everything there is to watch on it, and then they start getting into other stuff because that no longer does it for them. And then their fantasies, they want to turn their fantasies into reality. Like if that's what happened to Jared with Subway, I don't know. But
It sounded like he was always that way, though. I
yeah,
watched a little bit
well,
of that documentary. It sounded like
uh,
he was always kind of a weird dude. That
I'll tell you one thing: that documentary was harder to watch for me than The Sound of Freedom.
I didn't finish the documentary. It was a hard watch.
Oh my god, it was horrible.
I can't. There's something about somebody fucking destroying a child's life. It just I can't. It's harder watching like a gore film or whatever. I mean, it's
Well, that's what like we brought up before. It's like okay, so this douchebag used his money to mess around with kids. Like he flew to the Philippines to have sex with young boys and stuff. Like kudos to that reporter because she went through a lot of stuff. He said some real jacked up stuff to her, like I want you to watch me pound your kids. Like I'm pretty
yeah,
sure that's almost an exact quote.
yeah.
Like that dude is. I'm actually surprised. He must be in solitary confinement
He
because I
would
do
have to be.
know
Is he
that.
still alive?
Yeah, he's in jail,
Holy shit! I did not think he was still alive.
but there is a code amongst criminals, from what I hear, and they don't like child molesters,
Yeah, because
and he's one of them.
no matter what, most everybody either has kids or is
Well,
everybody
I
can
think he
relate.
has had kids with his wife. Like, how do you have children and then do that?
I don't understand how you. I don't understand how you do it. Period. Um, but yeah, if you have kids of your own and you do that, what I mean, that's like, oh, I mean,
There's definitely something wrong in your brain. Like, and that's another thing with the left's doing in California. They're in other states. I think they're trying to change the term uh, pedophile to minor attracted person.
yeah. I mean, I think there's also like another meaning or another thing they're trying to change it to that's even less,
Well, and what they're saying
less
is
direct to what it actually is.
they're trying to take away from. Well, it's just a minor attractor. It's just an attraction.
Yeah, what
It's
there's
not as long
see,
as they
this
don't
is that
act
thing.
on it. It's not bad.
No, it is bad because you know what? Even if you don't act on it, like and molest a child, but you just watch the porn, you know what you're fucking fueling? Uh, Other people taking kids and doing things to them so they can watch that video. So yes, it is disgusting. It is wrong, and you should definitely go to jail. That
That's why
is
I don't
some
understand
bullshit.
how people like. I don't understand how people like come up with it now. Like that one. I don't know if you ever saw the interviews or the videos of the college professor that was
Yes,
like pushing this. That
you
guy
know.
was definitely a pedophile.
Yes, anybody that
100%.
well, anybody that pushes it is definitely a fucking pedophile. They're a sick person, and
But you're right though. Even if you don't physically act on yourself, if you are watching child pornography, you are fueling the market that is making it.
yes,
But I think they even say like there's been studies that show people that have this affliction, it generally doesn't stay in the realm of fantasy.
no,
They
because
always end up.
they're going to act. They're going to try to act on it at some point.
Um. So I think we agree. Now we've been talking mostly about sex trafficking because that is horrible. I'm not even 100% sure what the deal is with the Uyghurs other than they're Muslim. Is that why?
Yes, that's why China hates them.
Okay,
That's it. They're
just
Muslim.
making sure. Yet the left doesn't want to upset
China.
China. Like they talk shit about people that have. They call everybody was it Islamophobic in the United States, but they're totally cool with
Cool with
China,
yeah,
literally
because
imprisoning people. It's genocide too. They're killing them. It's not just enslaving them; they're killing them.
yeah.
They're fine with that, but whatever.
Well, I mean, they're quick to call somebody anti-Semitic, but they'll bash Israel and they be pro-Palestine, even though they're always fighting for gay rights and these trans rights. And any Muslim country, uh, they're either going to be executed or put in prison for being gay or trans.
Well, that's
I
another thing that points out how stupid anyone who supports the left is.
I don't get it. Like, do you do no research? Do you just support whatever they say? I mean, I don't get it. It's this Instagram fucking influencer fucking stupid ass fucking kids shit that they don't do any. They're just going to follow whatever they want because hey, AOC told me that she's only giving me free college or whatever, and she's fighting for my free college. And she doesn't like Israel, so I don't like Israel. I'm pro Palestine, and I'm a gay trans dude. And you're like, you're pro Palestine, but if you live there, you would be executed.
Which is kind of funny because a lot of people on the Democrat side have been censured, right?
Yes, censured.
Censured for saying anti-Semitic things, and then now their big thing with RFK is supposedly he's anti-Semitic.
But he's not anti-Semitic.
No, I don't think he
Even
is.
what he said wasn't anti-Semitic.
It is if they say it is, Kevin, and that's the problem. Knowing all this horrible, how does this come to an end? Like, how do
How
we
does what
stop
come
this?
to an end? Slavery?
Well, yeah, modern day slavery, sex
It
slavery,
doesn't.
all of it.
It doesn't. It's
I
not
think
going to.
I
It
think we
won't.
should be reaching a point in human society though where that should
We
end.
are, as
We're the
Americans,
main proponent of it though. You can't say we. Like our society is sick. Now it might be not like as the population as a whole is sick, but our culture due to social media, mainstream media, education is sick. And we're fueling this. We're the number one consumers of at least uh,
content.
content.
Oh, I agree, and I don't know how you shut it down. I don't. I mean, shut down porn.
I mean, do we need to and I agree with
Close.
Florida's new law about death penalty for child molesters. I think that should be
Oh,
a
absolutely. I
nationwide
think
thing.
that should be nationwide. I don't care if you don't have the death penalty in your state. That should be a death penalty, fucking no matter what.
Full
Especially,
castration and a lobotomy, though, that's pretty good too, though, because then the person has to go around. And I'm not being sexist. I'm sure there's some
I mean,
gross,
there is
disgusting
because
females.
there is. I mean, you see the school teachers with like
Yeah, but
12-year
I
olds,
mean,
13-year olds.
you think the kids are like sheep? the boys are like, she touched me.
Well, it doesn't matter, does it? Because I mean, it doesn't matter
But what I'm
because it's
saying
still a
is,
minor.
uh, I don't know how you do with a lady. I guess you could do what they do in Muslim
Lobotomy. I don't
countries.
care. Lobotomy works for everybody.
That makes you all. "Whirr."
Yeah, it works for
You just
everyone.
want to make sure that they're
Lobotomy is.
conscious.
I can tell you what. Lobotomy is not sexist.
At least for the dude, though, you want to make sure they're conscious enough to know that they no longer have junk.
You should lobotomize his penis hole.
I'm going to put this little black cat into your little pocket. And by
Yeah,
pocket, I mean urethra.
we're gonna make your fucking penis look like an octopus.
This doesn't seem very medically.
We're gonna put this up your urethra, and light it, and your one thing is going to turn into 8 things. Your octopus penis.
And we're not wrapping it. It's going to heal how it heals.
No. Nope. Maybe you'll bleed out. We'll just let nature decides what happens after.
It's like octagon or
Yes.
octodong, and it's not as cool as you think it is.
No, it's definitely not.
Yeah, it's like I think there should be way harder. Now, I do like how, and that's kind of why this is another why they're pushing, because I think the same people pushing the minor attracted people, they're also trying to get it to where you don't have to, I think, register or have signs in your, like, if you're a child molester, you should be publicly shunned like forever.
Yeah, there's one person that said, yeah, they should be able to live wherever they want.
Yeah, no.
That they shouldn't have restrictions from schools.
And I'm not 100% based on what the Bible says. If you're a child molester, I'm not 100% sure you can find Jesus and find forgiveness. Maybe, but I wish I was going to look up the exact quote, but he does say something.
Is there?
About,
because, I mean, what was the age of, like, marriage was like 14 years old.
Well, that's because the average life expectancy was
like
30.
22.
If you're 15, you're already like,
you better have
retirement yet?
You better have eight kids by then.
But no, like there's a spot in there. I think I brought it up last week. I might have brought it up a lot, but basically like it's basically attaching a weight to this person's neck and casting him into the sea for someone who would mess with God's children.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're taking innocence away is what you're doing.
And that's innocence that person's not going to get back. That's why I think there are certain crimes where I don't think the punishment's hard enough, because if some asshole's a child molester.
Sure, I think this rape should be fucking.
Well, because you have permanently, for the rest of that person's life,
you scarred that person.
I'm not saying they can't learn to deal with it and, still have a productive life. That's always going to be there.
It's going to be a scar in their soul is what it's going to be. No matter what, it's going to be there. There's nothing they can do to make that go away. That is a traumatic experience that, it can't be erased. So, yes, it's almost as some people, I mean, there's a lot of people who have had this happen, committed suicide. So I think if a child molester has, or even somebody who rapes somebody has anything, if that person happens to commit suicide, I think they should be recharged on murder.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think they should be, they should be in prison for life anyways, without parole. Rape or
that, and I think we need to have like what Brad Pitt and Inglourious Basterds did.
And
instead of carving a swastika on their forehead, though, they just carve rapey across their forehead.
But I also believe if you cry wolf on rape, you should be charged for at least 5 years.
Yeah, that should be
there's got to be a penalty.
Accusation.
There's got to be a penalty for false accusations.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of them, like at least a lot of the big cases.
Yeah,
where it turned out to be fake. Like, yeah, that should be very harsh. It shouldn't be like, oh well, yeah, I guess I misremembered.
Well, did you see that punter that got fired from the Bills? He got fired for the Bills. He just got drafted. He was going to be a great punter, but then somebody said he was part of a gang rape. Then it was proven that he left the party 2 hours before the incident even happened.
I think if it was proven, I'd be suing the shit out of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would sue the person. Well, I guess I wouldn't sue the person, but like whoever made the accusation, I guess. But then they're always like, well, they didn't made a mistake, they didn't
But
know,
then,
and then it
but then
gets
it was,
washed
it was.
away.
I think it was also proven that she consented.
Well, then yeah.
So I mean,
How do you prove that?
there's fucking video of it
Oh,
to
I think
where
I know which one
she's.
you're talking about. I didn't know about the football player, but I think I know the story you're talking about.
Yeah, she was. I think she was video. I was at a party and she was videoed, and like she was like, it didn't look like she was drunk or, you know, obviously, roofied or anything. But she insinuated that she was going to do something that actually happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, if you make a false accusation or something, that's why I don't agree with red flag laws because I don't mind someone getting looked at if they're saying something stupid or crazy, and people should be the whole see something, say something kind of thing. But if people abuse that system, it should be hard. Like, you should have to be able to prove it. It has to have like actual, and that's what pisses me off because the people that do the false accusations are the ones that allow real rapists to get off
Oh,
because
I
it'll
know.
get so fucking hard to convict them that you have to have it black and white because the defense attorney will just come in and accuse, someone who was legitimately raped, accuse them as, oh, well, you saw what she was wearing or you saw what he was wearing. You never know.
That is definitely the worst problem about it. It's the fact that when you cry wolf, eventually, people aren't going to believe you or believe if there's a bunch of rape cases that get overturned. People are going to be like, well, powerful people, especially when it happens to somebody powerful, and it keeps happening to where people are falsely accusing people of rape to powerful people. When it actually does happen, no one's actually going to believe it.
Yeah, it's so you're basically what you're thinking is well, that kind of goes into the no, that's a multifaction
We're talking
multi
we're talking
a
pretty heavy stuff here.
multifunctional question. It is. That's why we're gonna have a fun episode next time, or maybe the next time. Because Kevin won't be on next week. I will either be solo or I may or may not have a guest. Depends on how I feel and how much I want to do stuff. But so you basically think harsh ass penalties for people that do this stuff.
Yes, absolutely. It should be death penalties.
I think it should be like here's a
Especially
here's a
people especially
here's
people
the
who
thing with the
facilitate.
death penalty, Kevin. You kill the person and it's over.
Yeah, there's no release. There's no question they're going to do it again because, what you can't do 6 feet on the ground? Anything.
You know what I
Um
think should happen?
what?
Think back to the Princess Bride at the end, where the guy's like in the bed and he can't move,
Oh,
but the
yeah,
guy
yeah.
doesn't know he can't move. That punishment.
Yes.
What is that? His ears? No, he leaves his ears. He cuts off his nose, takes out his eyes, they cuts out his tongue, and they leave his ears so that he can hear every shriek of everybody as they see him.
Did you ever watch that movie? What the hell was it? God, no, I
Is
can't
it
remember.
Princess Bride or Prince Bride? No, it's a
It's Princess
Princess
Bride.
Bride.
I'm talking about the movie. Shit, what was it?
That sounds like a
It had
horrible
Jamie
title for a
Foxx and
movie.
Gerard Butler in it. Gerard Butler's.
Are you talking about shit?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the movie.
It's
It's right there.
It is right there. I did watch it.
And you know what he did to that guy when, he killed his family?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what should happen. Where he cut off his eyelids so he could watch
What the
him cut
heck
off
is
his
that
junk.
word?
Let's see, Jamie. Oh, shit. Jamie Foxx movies.
Something citizen, law-abiding citizen.
Law-abiding citizen. Yep. So
Yep,
basically, what he did was he cut off
the
his
worst
eyelid.
part of that movie was the ending.
Oh, yeah.
Don't ruin it, Kevin. It's a great movie. People need to watch it. We're not doing that review.
That movie's like 10, 15 years old. So if you haven't
I
watched it
didn't
by
see
now,
it till this year.
yeah, because you suck.
You suck. It's a great movie. I'll watch
It
it
is a
again.
good movie. It's a great movie. But
What did you
yes,
do to that guy? I've
so he
only
cut
seen it
off his
once.
eyelids so he could
Ooh.
watch him. Watch him. They put a mirror on top of him so he could watch it as he like pretty much like so he,
Disemboweled, like cut him up, didn't he?
well at first he cut off his junk, then he cut him apart, and
Yeah, that's fine.
then
I'd be
he
fine with that.
cauterized all his wounds so he would stay alive as long as he could. So
Yeah, I'd be totally fine with it.
yeah, and I'm good with that. People who do heinous crimes should have heinous punishments.
Yeah, the punishment should meet the crime
Yeah,
or be worse.
well, by far worse.
Because, well, okay, so the punishment should match the crime, but you have to take in the lifelong emotional damage that that person caused.
And if somebody's facilitating these things, so obviously some of these things are, like I said, when you see like they had a big fucking uh, child trafficking ring busted in Illinois, and everybody looked like they're fucking like homeless or meth addicts. So obviously somebody's paying for these people. Somebody's paying. So what they got to do, well, I mean, the person who is facilitating all this definitely needs to die.
I think it's rich people, and I think they justify their actions
Obviously, it's
based
rich
on,
people.
like, oh, well, over in Afghanistan, people are marrying 9 years old. It's legal over there.
It's whatever people got to fucking do to make themselves feel better. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's like, granted, well, here's the thing, though. So we live in a civilized
Anybody
society.
can make any argument to any crime.
But we live in a civilized society, and I get that. But when people don't act civilized, their punishment should not be civilized. We need to start going back to the old medieval days.
I like when they like had the horses tied up, pulled them apart.
I like the wedge.
Ooh, the wedge is pretty good. Yeah, that's the one where it went up the taint. Split your taint.
Split the taint all the way to the neck.
Yeah, and I'm
I think
cool
we
with
need
that.
to bring that back. The old taint splitter.
The rat in the bucket. That was a good one.
Oh yeah, that was.
Heat up the bucket to where the rat fucking eats through you.
I think Chinese bamboo torture is pretty fucked up too.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, and I think the medieval people had the worst tortures, and
I think it's because there wasn't a lot to do.
They just made up new ways to fucking fuck somebody over.
Hey, you know what? Let's slap this guy on a table and like pull out his intestines, and then I'll just roll him up.
Yeah,
and then he can watch it. Hey,
yeah,
this is where your poop comes from.
It's a biology lesson and a penalty.
So we're kind of talking about it. Well, yeah, I guess that was kind of the same question. Well, yeah, because my last question on the subject is what should happen to the people supplying and demanding this rapidly expanding criminal enterprise.
Obviously, we kind of talked about this. I think everybody should die.
Do you think the military should be used to go in and because let's
yes, they should go in and
Mexico is a failed state.
Yes, and they should go after cartels. The cartels are a terror group, and they should be labeled as such. And we should have the full authority. The Mexican government should be like, hey, you have full authority to go after them.
You think they would ask? But I think the Mexican government's...
well, they're paid for by the cartels.
Yeah,
cartels are the biggest business in Mexico.
We have a failed state right to the south of us that we have no operational control over, no matter what.
We're giving fucking Ukraine billions of dollars. We're giving Ukraine billions of dollars. We could fund the Mexican government and go in and be like, hey, you want $80 billion? Cool. I'd rather give it to Mexico and be like, have Mexico be like, hey, take out the cartels.
I'd rather just go in and tell the Mexican government, say, hey, we're going to come in with our military. We're going to clean out all your cartels, and all it's going to cost you is your sovereignty. You are now the 51st state.
Yeah, that's what I say. I would say if you don't let us, you're the 51st state. Mm-hmm. If you let us, you can have your sovereignty.
Either way, we're coming in.
Yeah.
It all depends if we're meeting an open door or a closed door.
But what are you going to do? I mean, that's a slow way to take over the world because, I mean, it's, or at least the
How
fucking
much? How if
Western
we actually?
Hemisphere.
But
I
if
mean,
we
because
did that,
if you keep going south, I mean, it's not going to make a difference. Like, it's not like Nicaragua or Venezuela
well, they're
or
getting overrun by communists right now with
that's what I'm
China.
saying. So, at what point does the border stop? I mean, you can do this to every goddamn country.
That's right. Let's just take over the world, Kevin.
Oh, why not?
Well, how much better though would the world be if we did that? I'm not talking about making Mexico a state, whatever. But
What if we
like
took
if we
over the
went
world?
in and took the cartels out.
Oh, probably greatly better. I mean, they're the
Because I'm
main.
pretty sure the Mexican cartels are international.
I don't know about how better the rest of the world. I really don't know how they're.
I'm pretty sure they ship
I'm
people
sure they do.
and drugs internationally.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, their main business is cocaine and fentanyl. Well, China actually sends fentanyl to the Mexican cartels. So yes, everything would be better.
It kind of makes you wonder why we're not at war with China.
Why? Because fucking Democrats are in bed with fucking China.
That's true. Well, that wraps pretty much all my questions up on this horrible, horrible topic.
Do you want to talk
Um,
about?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got any?
Yeah, well, Hunter Biden, his plea deal fell through because he thought he was going to carte blanche immunity on any future prosecution on anything related to his, well, pretty much anything he thought.
Yeah,
And
the judge asked a few questions and like, okay,
it
you
fell
guys
apart.
are all.
And the fact that DOJ actually was along with this until they got caught, and that's what the fuck happened, was the DOJ wrote this into the gun charge where it should have been wrote into the tax law charge. So basically, the DOJ was trying to hide the fact that they gave this carte blanche fucking immunity to Hunter Biden. But once they were confronted with it, it was like, oh, no, that's not what we meant. So basically, this is more proof that the DOJ is a an arm of Joe Biden. I mean, it's his military arm, basically, his police arm.
Well, technically, the DOJ is a branch of the executive branch anyway, so it doesn't matter. That's always true.
Yeah, but
Even though they should be independent, it should be like,
they're supposed to be bipartisan and independent and actually uphold the law.
That's
not just per.
Do you
not,
think
not per status or per person, but it should be a blanket.
What's that dude's
law.
name? Christopher Wray?
Yeah.
Do you think that dude's name was given to Trump? Because he's a Trump appointee.
I don't know. Sometimes I just think Trump just signed people because somebody put something in front of him. Somebody he trusted who turned out to be a piece of shit, like half his goddamn.
Well, they said like half of the staff at the White House was from Obama.
Rudy Giuliani just testified that he lied about Georgia.
What do you mean?
That yes, no, Georgia was fine. He lied about the vote, the counting of votes and stuff. He said that he wrote it. He in a Georgia court. Yeah, look at it up. Like if you look it up, Giuliani confessed that he. Well, I don't know if it's true, or what kind of deal he got, but he basically turned on Trump.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, here's what I think's happened with Trump and this whole election shit. I think they're making it to where if you question the election, no matter how shady it is, if you do it, they're going to come after you.
Well, that's fine, but you don't have to fucking turn tail and fucking give up. Well, like Giuliani did.
Yeah, I never even heard about that.
Yeah. So
isn't Georgia one of the states where like a bunch of ballots were found in ditches?
What's happening is that's one of the indictments Trump's probably going to get is interfering with Georgia.
Yeah, which is a case based on semantics.
So Giuliani not contesting making false statements about Georgia election workers.
I don't know. You never know what's going on.
So basically, what happened was, I'm thinking they're going to indict Trump. Is what's going to happen, and I think they were going to indict Rudy Giuliani, but now he's turning on Trump, and he's fucking made a plea bargain.
So it turns out old melty hair guy couldn't stand up to the fire.
What I'm saying is, like we've said before, Trump surrounded himself with some shitty people.
I wouldn't say Giuliani was shitty. You never know what they had or what they were going to do. We've already learned that. Here's the thing: unless you're loaded, if the federal government comes after you, they literally print their own money.
It's not the federal government; it's the state of Georgia.
Whatever, the GBI.
But he is loaded. It's not like he's a fucking poor person.
He's not Trump loaded. I don't know why he would do that. I don't know. People are pieces of shit in this world.
That's what I'm saying is people don't have loyalty. I mean, there was another guy that turned on Trump. Can't remember what. I was just listening to on January 6th stuff.
You know what's not going to hurt Trump in the polls? People turning on him.
You know, it's not going to help him. Repeating what Kamala Harris has to say about fucking Ron DeSantis. Yeah, that fucking how like.
I think it's clear and apparent that Ron DeSantis hasn't seasoned himself for.
But it doesn't matter. Election. Why are you going after him? Why are you not going after Biden?
That's what I'm saying. What's going to hurt?
But I mean, it's not going to help him going after somebody else in his own party. That's not going to help him. It's not going to help him with the rest of the Republican Party who doesn't like if somebody doesn't like Trump, they're not going to fucking like him because he's going after Ron DeSantis and making the same fucking comments that Kamala Harris has made that were false when she made it. So what you don't do is do that, and that's not how you're going to win people. You've already got your base. You don't need that. You don't need to reinforce your base. What you need to do is find a way to get the people who are on the fence about you to come back over to you for the primary. You know, that's what you got to do. You should be going after Biden on everything. That should be your whole tactic. Go after Biden. You're in the lead.
To go after Biden.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
The guy's an idiot. I mean, seriously. You don't have to go after Ron DeSantis. You're up by 30 fucking points. If you don't go after the Democrat Party, what the fuck are you doing? If you don't, that's what I'm saying. What are you doing? You're making a bad call. This is a bad judgment call.
It is a bad judgment call. I don't know why he does what he does. Like, he's 30 points ahead of DeSantis.
Exactly. Why are you going after this guy?
He doesn't need to go after Biden. All he has to do...
The whole Democrat Party. All you have to do is
say... He doesn't have to do that. All he has to do is do what he did in 2016.
You don't do
that work around him or what? But yeah, what he's doing, eating your own and also tainting a guy who would be a pretty good candidate down the road is right now DeSantis' time. No, I don't think it is. I think DeSantis' future recent goal is Secretary of State. I think he would make a great Secretary of State. And that would give him the international clout that he needs to run for president.
Another thing you shouldn't do is say how much 2020 got stolen without having a plan to say, this is how future elections will not be stolen. This is how we're going to actually secure our elections. That needs to be a plan. That's
a straw man argument.
That's not a straw man argument.
No, because the federal government can't dictate to a state how they're going to run their elections. He can say, you need to talk to your representatives or elect people that are going to clean up and tighten up the voting stuff.
Hold on. Because it came close to the fact that
what do you want me to hold on to?
The Democrats tried to pass that through to where the federal government did control the elections.
I'm not going to lie. 2020 was so fucked up that for a short period of time, I thought that there should be not like the Fed runs the elections, but a standard. So either everybody uses paper ballots or everybody uses this system or blah, blah, blah.
Whatever the fuck
and
then Florida
the state
did.
runs the election based on federal guidelines. That's what I thought.
Whatever the fuck Florida does, I think everybody should do. Because they had their shit in within 3 hours after their fucking polls closed.
Well, after the massive embarrassment of the Bush-Gore election, they got
it's been fucking flawless, though. So do what they do. Every state should adopt what Florida did. I don't know what do they use. Do they use Dominion or do they use
No, I think theirs is like.
paper? Fill in the paper. That's
I
what I
think it
would have.
is.
Fill
Ours
in
is
the paper.
electronic,
Yeah, we
which
don't.
is which is hilarious because the first Dominion case actually started in Dallas, Texas.
But that was the Democrats went after him, right?
No,
Huh.
it was an independent thing that saw
I know that
anomalies.
Hillary Clinton said she was robbed because of Dominion voting machines.
Well, that's what's hilarious, though. If a Democrat loses, they can bitch all they want about voter fraud. If a Republican bitches, thousands
Safest
of
and
people get
secure,
federally
the
indicted.
most safe and secure election ever, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't you forget about that shit. I don't care about your 3 a.m. dumps that all went towards Biden.
I don't care about your live number swappings.
There's 3 different states that went fucking, 3 a.m. 3 a.m. All of it went towards Biden except for
You know
like 3
what?
votes.
And maybe this country deserves everything we're getting, and maybe all these parents
No, it doesn't, because
apologize to their kids about, hey, I was stupid and I let you mutilate your body to fit a fad. And maybe, that many dumbasses did vote for Biden. But since they refused to do any investigations, we'll never fucking know. If they did the investigations and it turned out that this country is 99 or let's say 60% dumbasses, then whatever. I can take a loss. What I can't take is thinking, hey, that seemed kind of fucked up. And these people over here say, no, it was secure. Shut your mouth.
You know why the courts didn't take their fucking case is because they don't want to hold up the system. They don't want to be that person to hold.
It's because we don't have patriots anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to find any court that's going to be like, no, I'm going to hold up the whole presidential election.
Yeah, because we don't have patriots anymore.
Yes.
Most court cases now are set on precedent.
Not patriots.
If there's no precedent,
it's just people who uphold the law. That's it. Maybe not patriots. You don't.
Sadly, Kevin, that makes you both a patriot and a domestic terrorist.
But it should just be some. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because anybody upholds the Constitution is a fucking terrorist.
Are you telling me you like to listen to that song, "Proud to Be an American"?
Yeah, I actually do. I
like
that song. I really do like that song, though.
I like the old one and the new one.
There's a new one?
He kind of released another one when the country was going to shit. Same dude.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, I'm proud to be an American.
Yeah.
Well, at least I know I'm kind of, sort of, a little bit on the side free.
Now, barely free.
Little touch of free.
A little touch of freedom. Like just
as long as I got my mask on.
You can taste it on your tongue, but you can't.
And I take an experimental drug. I can smell the freedom, but I can't touch it.
Yeah. It's just like, just don't inhale.
No, you inhale that. You inhale that freedom, Kevin.
You can't.
Deep lungs.
You can't. You can't inhale the freedom. There ain't enough freedom for everybody. Don't want to inhale.
I know you burn it all up.
What you gotta do is just make it like a smoky bar where everybody.
So there's nothing that happened that goes into our. I think I'm gonna make. Now I'm not gonna do it next week. I will have you participate. Next week or your next episode that you're part of, you're doing aliens. You're doing updated aliens, and they just had a congressional and hearing or whatever.
Let's hold off on talking about this.
Okay, we'll leave that and go. But there's aliens, and nobody gives a shit.
No, well, I mean, yeah, no one gives a shit. It's weird.
Just saying.
No one does give a shit except for like Matt Walsh.
No other local news? Nothing else going on?
Nothing. Oh, there was something else.
I think we're over an hour, so we can wrap this up, whatever. But
are we over now? All right, we can wrap it up.
What were you thinking about?
There was something else that happened that I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was.
We could talk about it, Kevin. I want people to get plenty of Kevin because they're going to miss you next week.
They're not going to miss me. They hate me.
What are you talking about? You're the guy who's all like, "Hey, look at me, I'm the fun guy on the picture."
I'm
You're
always a
doing the
fun
peace
guy,
sign.
buddy. I am
Deuces.
doing the feet fight. Woo! Peace out.
Oh, by the way, both of our characters are based on actual pictures, so Kevin was doing that shit in the picture.
I don't think I was doing a peace sign.
Now you're like, "Yay!"
No one does a peace sign for real.
Deuces.
I think it's basically the Hunter Pines thing that I want to talk about. So,
No, that was stupid. How do you go back to a thing you already brought up?
do you think Biden? Do you think the impeachment inquiry will actually happen?
I think the
Or
inquiry
do you?
will. I'm not 100% sure we should impeach him, even though he 1,000% deserves it.
I think we should, because what's going to take? It's going to take probably 6 months of impeachment hearings.
Yeah, I don't know. It just pisses
So you're
me.
running
Oh,
right. You're
here's
running
the
right
story.
into
You
the
know what?
election. You're running right into the election. So people
Yeah,
won't
Biden's
know
a
what
piece
to do.
of shit, and then we're just doing another thing. Like people can be like, "Oh, well, they did to Trump, did blah blah blah." So what about McConnell freezing up during his little press
Oh,
conference?
that's what I want to talk about.
Ah,
Yeah. So I think he probably had a stroke. So yeah. So Feinstein, the one from California, she's basically
a
death in a
vegetable.
wheelchair. Fetterman can't even talk anymore. He has to use a text to talk thing on an iPad to actually talk anymore because he's lost.
And he still mumbles.
Well, he can't talk, so he's using a text to talk thing. So
He
that's
can't talk at
happening.
all anymore. They just said, "Hey, you need to stop talking."
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So he's got text, and the iPad reads it out. That's what he's doing right now. Then, then freaking McConnell, who's 80 years old, had a mini stroke or something.
So is this what equity?
This is what not having term limits or an age limit has.
Equity, equality, and inclusion looks like.
No, they're all white people.
So it's like, yeah.
They're just really old white people.
Do you think he had a stroke?
I don't know what it was.
I watched the video. It was weird. I just saw, I didn't see what he said after.
It's either a seizure or a stroke. I mean, he came out 10 minutes later, but
well, the weird thing
shut
is
down. Something shut his fucking body down. I mean, what'd they say it was?
Do you think he's a robot?
It might be. Somebody turned him off accidentally.
It wasn't a stroke.
Someone sat on the fucking remote.
They basically, gosh dang it, stop hitting the pause button. Someone said it was like exhaustion. How do you just like...
No, exhaustion, you forget what you're going to say.
Here's
you
the
want
weird
to keep
thing.
trying to talk. What you don't do is just stop talking.
I don't think it was a stroke. Well, I don't know much.
It could have been a seizure. It could have been a mini... What they're saying...
it could be a mini
seizure.
seizure. Because he did move off.
I don't know. Even a mini stroke will do the same thing. Like, not all strokes like make your fucking face like go, oh,
No, but it just doesn't. I don't know.
It'll mini strokes actually just shut you down. Like, you just like that. I mean,
I know that Mitch McConnell has done a couple good things, but I don't like him. And I
don't want him out. He's got a Democratic governor, a Democratic governor.
Sad,
so if he goes out, the governor gets to pick who replaces him.
Well, yeah, but somebody needs to run against him.
No, he gets to pick him until the next.
Him and Lindsey Graham. I can't stand Lindsey Graham.
Whoever it is gets to. I mean, they get to pick him until there's a special election. So governor gets to pick until there's a special election. That's what I'm saying is
people need to take a primary. If somebody primaries them, they need to kick him out.
Well, why don't we have term limits anyways? Why is there not term limits and an age restriction? Why the age restriction? You cannot run past the retirement age.
I would agree with that.
Whatever the retirement age, it's 72 right now, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's where you stop going. That's when you stop
65.
Running. Yeah.
We got screwed, Kevin.
We did get screwed.
We were so close.
No, we weren't. We're still not close.
It's like 20 years.
Yeah, until we get to 70 fucking 2.
Yeah.
That's
and now
30
it's
years.
27.
That's 30 years.
What? How old am I?
You're 43, right?
No, 42. It is 30 years.
Yeah.
That's almost half my life. And we're still going to be doing this podcast when we're in our 70s. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
I remember my day.
You're 42? Yeah, you're right.
No.
You're 43, you idiot.
No, I'm 43.
God damn it.
29 years for me.
How the fuck do I know your age and you know?
Well, because my birthday's one day after yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a year and a day.
Yeah.
Because I was a dummy.
Yeah. You big dummy.
How'd you end up in second grade with me and you're a year older than me? Well, it's called arithmetic.
All right. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. It's
a good show. It was a dark subject. I think we kind of, lightened it up like we do.
We lightened it up at the end.
Obviously, slavery was bad in the past. It's bad now, and we need to do something to eradicate it in the future.
Kill anybody that does it.
I think that's the solution.
I think that's the solution.
I will be back next week. Kevin will be back in 2 weeks. So until then, I'm Josh.
And I'm Kevin.
And this was another awesomely epic episode of The Lost Art of Common Sense.
Common Sense.
Common Sense.
Common Sense.
Well,
see you, suckers. See you in 2 weeks. Woo! Vacation time. Woo!
Later.
Later.